Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
The podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we are reading a pretty fucked up crime story that's called That Texas Blood. And it's not true crime.
No.
It is fiction, but it takes place in Texas, which is always great. It's a special place in our heart.
That could be part of the reason we selected it, because we didn't really know much about this one going into it.
No, it's a newer book from Image, I believe, and I think I just heard things like, oh yeah, it's good, and I could see why people are like, yeah, it's good, but like, maybe not like shouting it out, mainly because it's so fucked up. They're like, it's not like a happy book, it's not a feel good, romp through the roses or whatever,
No, yeah, we'll get into it in a sec, but definitely Matt and I were talking about this, and it's like, okay, this is probably going to go one of two ways, like most stories would, and it takes a hard turn.
Yeah,
the way we would not have thought it
goes
would go.
The left way, or whatever. It goes the way from what I thought it was. But before we get into that, I would like to just let you guys know we have a Patreon, and as part of that, we are doing a poll each month, and you guys get to choose what we're reading for one of those podcasts that month. So this week we're going to put up our first poll.
First poll
on our new Patreon page. So we have a couple of patrons we'd like to shout out. We'd like to shout out Hoku and Otaku Mike, who are our super fan patrons. Yeah. And yeah.
So if you want to be part of that, make sure you sign up now. Any tier can be part of the voting process and see all the extras. Each tier just has a couple additional fun things with it.
Yeah, right now we have the blue and gold tier, which is kind of like our intro, or like our low one that's you could join just to support, and you also get to vote. And we'll have more than just one poll. Like, I like the idea of having, what do you guys think we should read? Like, do you think we should read more Marvel or more DC? Or like just throw polls out during the month, just for fun to see where you guys are at. And then like I said, you guys get to vote on which book we're going to read. Like, we'll throw out 3 or 4 options, but this time, because we only have 2 patrons right now, we're going to do it by character. So we're going to throw out 4 new characters that we haven't really done before, and see what you guys vote, what you guys want, and we'll choose from there. And if it's split, we'll do a
coin toss.
Yeah, I'll do a coin toss. There you go. That's a good idea. So I was going to say, we'll arm wrestle for it, but I'm going to win that, John. So
wow.
So anyway, if you'd like to join that, it is patreon.com/planes, trains, and comic books, all one word at gmail.com, but that's our email.
That's our email.
So
but yeah.
Just patreon.com/planes, trains, and comic books, all one word.
Pretty much, yeah. All of our things are going to be the whole name if we can fit it in there.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes I like to be like, nah, it's too many characters.
Yeah, stupid Twitter was like, you can't have that.
Yeah, Twitter did that, and then when I signed up for our TikTok, just to get all our quick short videos on there, I couldn't put the S, so it's Planes, Trains, and Comic Book.
Stupid. Stupid.
But you can find us on everything. We've got all our stuff up now.
Yeah, and we also post links. We do like a weekly update on everything we've done at all the different social medias. So when you become a patron there on Patreon, it will send out a weekly update that will give you everything that we do, all the media, all the YouTube videos. I think it's got all the links for the TikToks and all that stuff and everything too. But we have mainly the YouTube videos are where we're focusing. John is kicking ass doing a bunch of trailer reactions for all the new shows that are dropping, because I don't have time to pay attention to all those. They drop so often and just randomly. So you're on the pulse with that.
I was thinking about if they, since people are enjoying them, if they like, comment, let us know. I could do the actual if it's comic-y based or whatnot, things that they'll do comics or have done comics on. I'm trying not to do everything,
just random trailers.
Yeah, but so the Obi-Wan show.
Hey, if you throw $10 in there, we'll do random trailers.
I mean, you want me to review that horror Winnie the Pooh movie that's coming out? We might do that.
Wait, children's books are like comics, right?
I guess so. But with Obi-Wan coming out, I thought, well, people like the trailer review. I could review the episodes too. Like I definitely, I'm gonna watch them. So
that is a good idea, sir. We'll talk about that afterwards. Yeah. And also, if you didn't know, if you're a fan of my Swamp Things Matt's Minis podcast that I have, where I'm going through every issue of Swamp Thing just one at a time every week, if you're a fan of that, I am also doing one on Patreon just for members of that. So that tier is called the Hellblazer Matt's Minis tier, and I'm doing Hellblazer, obviously, with that name, and going through every issue. Started at issue 1, and I am currently on issue 22. So that is what's coming out this week. And we're going to go all the way to 300, my friend, because there's 300 issues of Volume 1 of Hellblazer. So if that at all interests you, go click on that. Right now, we actually have a special going on for super fans, and it's only $2 a month. But that is a limited tier. So, once those spots fill up, it goes back to the regular price. So definitely jump on that if you have any interest in wanting to know what's going on with Hellblazer, or at least where he came from with John Constantine and all that. So if you didn't know, Hellblazer is John Constantine. That's his title name or whatever. So yeah, that's our shameless promotion is what I was going to say.
Now again, so like you also, if you just want to kind of like keep up with things, you can, if you have a Patreon account in general, you can sign up, you can follow us, and all of our main posts as far as like what we did that whole week, that will still come out. That's public. That's everybody can see. So you can still keep up with it.
Yeah, only the polls and the Hellblazer Matt's Minis you won't get that content, but
any extra content.
The extra above standard content, I guess. But you'll get the link to be able to follow us on what's going on, and maybe we'll do some just community polls too if we get enough people following and whatnot. Good. So, but yeah. Anyway, back to the comic we did this week. We did that Texas Blood, and it is written by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. And you hadn't heard of this before, right, John?
No, I had not heard of this one at all. I think we were like, I was like, oh, Texas Blood. I like Texas. I happen to live in Texas. I have all my life. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
That sounds fun.
Yeah, sure. And
that thing about like Texans, they're a little extra. Like, we got some things not to be proud of right now, but in general,
everything's bigger in Texas.
You'd say like, oh, you're kind of proud to be Texan or whatever. So, and I would say normally I agree with that.
John, I don't know if you know this, but Texas was the only state that was its own republic first.
That's true. And we don't.
That's not true, but yeah. I mean, I guess own republic, yes. Yeah. Own free state or free country, no.
But we have it in our Constitution that we can secede anytime we want to.
And we will.
And we will do it.
And we will. Come and take it, all right? That's what I say. Anyway, as you might... John here is an actual, like, born Texan.
Oh, yeah. Born and raised.
Yeah, so I am a fucking transplant from 2006 is when I moved here. So, I've been going strong for a while, but I don't have the Texan blood that John has. You know? And he lets me know
every day.
Every day. Just for reference, when I met John, he had a shit kicker truck. That's what I refer to it as. It was about 10 feet tall because he had to like struggle to get into the damn thing.
I didn't have to struggle anything. I had for people who actually, it was a 1978 Chevy Silverado 3/4 ton pickup with 6-inch block lift, 6-inch spring lift, 35-inch swamp tires.
Yeah, so it was taller than 35 inches.
Yeah.
Which is quite a jump into the cab, which is always fun when you're like, I'm going on a date. And then it's like, how do you get her into the car, John?
You just, you pop down.
You just shove her up from her ass.
The step down and you help them up.
Yeah, sure. They step on your knee or your shoulders. And then, yeah. But anyway, so John is a born Texan. So this probably, hits home harder than maybe other readers.
Maybe.
But it starts off, or it takes place in the county of Ambrose in Texas.
Just north of, I had to look this up because I hadn't heard of it. They're just north of Dallas. It's just between Oklahoma and North Dallas.
The Panhandle.
Yeah, it's on the Panhandle. It's a little too.
Oh, it's over the other side?
To the right. But it's like right on the Red River, and it is a city with currently posted inhabitants of 90.
90 inhabitants.
90 people.
Wow.
So
that is a small.
Well, 90 inhabitants. That could be like wild dogs and stuff too. At this point,
they don't count those.
Yeah,
they don't count wild dogs or cats. So we start off the first volume with a sheriff. His name is Sheriff Joe, and it's just like we said, it's a small town in Texas. So it's a pretty sleepy town, but a lot of bad shit has happened in this town. Apparently, Joe. He's looking over newspapers, and we see there's like satanic cult at one time that was taken down by Sheriff Joe, and then there's one that says like sheriff gunned down by the brothers Coates and it ends in carnage. So the old sheriff that he took over for was murdered in front of him and all this stuff. Yeah. Super fucked up things. And we see in their house, he's married. He's got a nice marriage, I guess. It's one of those.
It seems like.
It reminded me of the marriage in Misery of the sheriff and his wife, where he's like, that sarcasm, that's what keeps our marriage alive. Yeah. Like, it's like where she's like, you really think we should do that? He's like, yeah, I do think we should do that.
I will say one of my favorite things is like the wife will call him and she uses the police radio and they'll be like, Sheriff, your wife is here. She's like, yeah, I know. He can hear me now. He's like, can you remind her to use? And he's like, well, yeah, she don't like using the phone because it's garbled. So she uses the police line.
Yes.
So it's that small of a town that it's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. And it just happens to be his birthday this day. And so that's kind of like the special thing. But it just goes through his life, kind of what it's like being the sheriff of this town. He goes over to a couple people's house and has to kill like a rattlesnake. And they're like, and they're sitting there going like, why don't you shoot it? And he's like, because I got a shovel and I don't need to shoot it. He's like, you should shoot it. The whole time he's like killing it with a shovel. It'd be better if you shot it. So that's just funny. And then his wife, like you said, called him on the police radio and was like, don't forget the casserole dish for your party tonight. And so he's got to go over to two people's house. I guess is it their like her sister or something, or what is it? We don't know the relation, but somehow maybe they're just friends.
Yeah.
They have the casserole dish of his wife. Yeah. So he's got to go. Well, they were supposed to drop it off or something, or he was supposed to go pick it up. And he goes to the house and he hears them yelling at each other, the wife and husband. And apparently he knows that, they've had some dealings with domestic violence or whatever in the house. And the wife is named Ruth and the man is named Ray. And so, he hears this and then he knocks on the door and Ray says, oh, hey, Joe, how are you? And Joe asks if Ruth's okay. And she's like, yeah, everything's fine. But it's like, probably not. But there's nothing at the moment being like hit or anything. They're just yelling. Yeah. So he doesn't have probable cause to go in their house. And they don't open the door. They just say it through the window. So, or like out through the, I don't know if the window's open, but he can hear them through either the glass or the door. And so he's like, okay. And then there's like, we'll just drop it off at your house later. And he's like, okay, that's fine. But he, you can tell he's like not really happy that he has to leave, but he can't really, his hands are tied as far as the law is concerned.
Yeah.
And then we also find out that, Ruth works at a convenience store down the street and she wasn't in today. And, the guy says,
called in and the guy's like, yeah, well, I bet it was probably Ray. We've seen her with black eyes before. So,
yeah. So obviously domestic abuse is happening there. And then we cut to like a weird transition, just like a black transition. You can see the sheriff, a young sheriff, talking to the older sheriff or an older sheriff. And it's a totally different person, older sheriff, though. We've never seen him before. And they're just sitting around a campfire, smoke's coming up, and the word balloons are kind of following the smoke trail. And basically, the sheriff's giving him, like, wisdom. He's saying, Joe, like, it's all going to turn to shit, and, like you're going to have a hard time with this life.
You're going to remember everything that happened.
Yeah, everything that happened. And mostly the bad. Like, You never remember the good stuff. It's always the super fucked up stuff that sticks with you. And as the old sheriff is talking to Joe, we see someone walk up behind him, and the old sheriff is describing what happened to him. Like, obviously he died because we saw that newspaper clip that said sheriff dies and whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, that's why I went over to this guy's house, and then he shot me in the chest. And we see a man walk up, like a skeleton or like a dead man, walk up with a shotgun and point it at the old sheriff. And Joe's like, oh shit, and he reaches for his gun, but it's not there, of course. And then there's no bang or anything, but then we cut to the old sheriff talking to Joe, and he's got like a giant wound in his chest, like obviously where he was shot. And so yeah, it's just like a very much, he just has all this like trauma that sticks with him, all the bad stuff that he's had to deal with as sheriff, and even before he was sheriff, obviously.
Yeah, and the last sheriff kind of warned him of this.
Yeah, and so then all of a sudden he wakes up. He was asleep. That was a dream. But, obviously it all happened in a certain way in him. It's all like just feelings festering over time. And so he's just on the side of the road, like kind of in a speed trap, I guess is what you'd call it, where he's just sitting there waiting for someone to drive by fast. And someone drives by fast, and it just happens to be his old buddy Ray that he visited earlier. And he pulls him over because he's going really fast. He's going, 120 or something like that?
Yeah.
And so he pulls him over.
I do it. He's like, we don't need the casserole dish that bad. Maybe he's bringing that.
Yeah. And so as Joe approaches Ray, he sees that Ray is covered with blood and has a gun in his hand. And Joe's like, what the heck? Like, drop the gun. And he backs up and draws his own gun. And then Ray, who's covered with blood, is like, I'm sorry. And he like shoots himself in the face and kills himself, commits suicide. And so that's how this is like just a normal day. And then the worst part is that, so obviously he killed his wife is what we're to assume with Ray. And then the sheriff, who's still stunned and has blood, all over his face because it's spattered from the inside the window. And he looks over and he sees the casserole dish just sitting on the back seat, covered in blood now and brains. And he's like, perfect. Like, well, I found the casserole dish. Like, it's just the worst day ever kind of thing. It's his birthday too, if you remember. So yeah, he goes home, and that's just a day in this place, Then the next issue starts, and we get it's probably like a little while later. The Joe is not asleep. He can't sleep now in his bed, because he's just like unable to get sleep after that incident kind of thing. Just everything's weighing on him more. So his wife wakes up and looks for him, and he's building models in his model room. And then we see he gets called to a murder scene, and it's not like a normal murder. It's just like this guy is shot and then dumped somewhere. And he's like in rigor mortis, and his hand is sticking out and stuff. It's pretty like a weird position to die in or whatever. Yeah. But he's just in the middle of the desert, so he gets called there, and he sees like the buzzards flying over and stuff. So the birds are already acting. And then we cut to Los Angeles. I guess it's Los Angeles, right?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure. It all looks like Los Angeles when they go to the airport and stuff. But so we cut to a man, and his name is Randy. And turns out the man that died was Randy's brother, Travis. And it's weird because Randy wakes up in the morning one day and is like, Travis, like he just has a feeling. He even sees like a kind of ghost in like the darkness of like a door that's open. And he's like, oh, I got to see what's going on. And then he calls and he finds out, oh, my brother's dead. So he just kind of right away just drops everything. He lives with a girlfriend. Her name's Marcia. And she's like, what's going on? And he's like, I have to leave. And he doesn't really like tell her very much other than his brother's dead and he's going to Texas. Yeah,
which is weird because the only thing we get from that is like he's been like kind of estranged from his brother for some time now, apparently.
Yeah.
So we're like, it seems weird that he is dropping everything to go.
Yeah, and
to her.
Yes, to her for sure. And she's like, oh, do you want me to go with you? Are you okay? When she finds out that his brother's dead, and he's like, no, it's fine. Stay here. You don't have to go with me. Actually, in fact, I don't want you to go with me. It's just like a lot to go back to Texas and everything. So, and he kind of just says like, please, stop harping on it kind of thing. Like, I don't want you to come. And, she wants to help. So I get it. But like, they come to a thing where she's like, okay, I won't go to Texas, but just be careful. Call me when you get there and everything. And so yeah, they kind of make up. He leaves, goes to Texas, and then he goes. Look, this is his city where he grew up, or town. And there's not much there, like you said. There's 90 people or whatever. So
he checks into the only hotel.
Yeah, and then
goes to the only diner.
And when he gets there, he sits down, and a waitress comes. She's kind of young and takes his order. And then out of the back, another waitress comes up and is like, what the hell do you think you're doing back in town or whatever? It's like all of a sudden he's in trouble, even though it's been like 15 or 20 years or whatever. He's got a reputation, or his family has a reputation that is still with them, and he gets chewed out by this waitress who basically says he's good for nothing, and what are you doing back here? Like, we thought when your brother died, that was the last of you, and all that stuff. So she is very angry. And then we also see there's someone peering through the door of the back kitchen area, and her name is Sarah, and she's just kind of watching everything happen. The sheriff comes in as well, and because I don't know if he sees or hears like what's going on, but he kind of walks in and be like, what's going on here? Like, he hears it eventually, and walks up and the waitress is like, I'm sorry, Joe, but I just don't like this guy, basically. And so the sheriff, he also knows Randy because he grew up in the same town or whatever, and so he's like, "Why don't I give you a ride?" And this was very like Rambo-ish, like the first Blood, when the sheriff's like, "Why don't I give you a ride through town and you get the fuck out of here," kind of thing. That's how I thought it was gonna go. I wasn't quite sure, but it's kind of like you could tell the sheriff's like, "Hey, let me give you a ride," and it's like literally a block away is where his hotel is, but it's like he's just, why don't you stay in your hotel room? Why, you don't have to go all the way around. In fact, why did you come here? I mean, I know it's your brother, but like, there's nothing to find. You're just gonna pick up your brother and go, right? Kind of thing, or bury him somewhere else, or in the town, but leave. That's the kind of feel I got for it. Like, he doesn't want trouble, and these brothers mean trouble in general.
And so he also wants to bring him back to the station to talk about his brother's murder because he doesn't know if he's involved in it anyway.
Yeah, he kind of thinks he's suspicious just because.
Why is he back in town?
Yeah, and also they didn't get along very well. So like, you a big fan of your brother now that he's dead? Well, what do you know about it, kind of thing. And so he actually like does like semi question him. He doesn't put him under arrest or anything. He's just kind of like, what do you know about your brother's murder? And so we leave it there, that issue, and then we pick up in issue 3, and he goes back to the hotel, and when he gets there, Sarah from the diner is waiting in his room. Like, he's like, how'd you get in here? And Sarah's like, oh, I just talked to the front desk. They let me in. To which I was like, what the fuck kind of hotel is this?
I knew it's a small town, but goodness.
Yeah, and we see she had a broken nose in the diner, as we could see what she was peering through the window. So they kind of have like a little catch-up, heart-to-heart thing. And it turns out that she was actually dating his brother, Travis. And so...
but only because she was in love with Randy. He left town because of whatever situation they had together. And she's one of the girls that's kind of like feels like, she'll always be stuck in the small town.
Yeah.
And so she's like, well, I'm going to cling to the only piece of Randy that is here still that I can get. And that's his brother, Travis.
And that's Travis. So, there wasn't much love there, I guess. And she said, he did hit me and stuff and whatnot, but, it was just to be closer to you as much as I could, kind of thing. And so she's like, well, I'm glad you're here though. And she like grabs his hand as he stands up. And then, the next thing we see, they slept together.
Yep.
They cut to them being in bed, and, she leaves in the morning, and then he goes to take a shower.
Yeah. Because he thinks he knows who killed him because his brother was, I guess, kind of working with this other guy. His name is Teddy Kuttner.
Yeah, Teddy Kuttner is a local drug dealer, but like not just a drug dealer. He's like the distributor for the area.
Yeah, so, he's not the head guy, but he's definitely like a big guy.
He's
the small town.
He's the Gus Fring of Breaking Bad or whatever, So he's that guy, but in this part of Texas. So he's pretty sure that guy's the person that killed his brother. That's because, big bad guy, obviously. And they're able to kill people and dump them in the desert, no problem. So he goes to take a shower to get ready to figure out who killed his brother or confront the person that he thinks did it. And while he's in there, someone else gets let into his room. Fucking hotel people, right? And it just happens, it's this guy named Fred. And of course, as Randy's in the mirror, like about to wipe off the steam, he wipes it off and he sees the reflection of Fred in the mirror. He's already got his gun out, so he's like, well, fuck, And he's like, we're going to go take a little trip, me and you, Randy. And so they go, and Randy leaves his phone there, and he sees he's already getting a call from his girlfriend, Marcia. He never called his girlfriend. The whole time he got there, got a hotel room, went to the diner, and he fucked a girl.
All in that time. Yeah.
All in that time, and never once called her. So kind of a dick boyfriend, I'm going to say.
Definitely doesn't, they don't, obviously they don't have as close a relationship you would think, at least at first.
Right. From that conversation at the beginning, it seemed like maybe he's kind of a hothead or like closed off, but she cares a lot for him. So, that there must be something there. But anyway, Fred takes Randy to his brother's estate, and his brother just happens to be Teddy Kuttner, and Teddy is owns a ranch, of course, big Texas ranch. And but he, like you said, is kind of like the big drug dealer guy, and he just drives. I thought this was funny. He just drives Randy into the middle of the land, just leaves him.
They drive past the house and everything on the property, and then just out way into the middle of I guess all the land that they own,
and just leaves him there, and it's like they'll come get you or whatever. And Randy's like, God damn it! He stands there for a while. He sees the truck pull up. And we see Teddy come out, and he's like, "Well, welcome home, Randy."
Say my name.
Yeah, no. Yeah, right. He's got a Heisenberg hat on. But obviously this guy's bad, and he's like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know that your brother owed me a shit ton of money that apparently he stole from me, and now that you're here, guess what?
You owe me money.
You owe me money as well. And if you don't agree with that, these other guys that got with me are gonna kick the shit out of you." And so. Basically, he doesn't have to kick the shit out of, or they don't have to kick the shit out of him, because Randy kind of stands up to him and tells him to go fuck himself. And he doesn't like that. So Teddy kind of punches him and then kicks him in the face and ends up leaving him bloody right there. So luckily, when they were leaving, Sarah in the diner saw Randy in Fred's truck. So being taken out to this place. So she calls the law and calls Joe and says, "Hey, something's about to go down. You might want to get to the Kuttner Ranch where they're taking Randy." So the sheriff shows up and takes Randy out of there, and they're like, "Hey, we don't want to press charges because he's trespassing on our land." And he's like, "Bullshit! They beat me up and they threatened me." And he's like, "He's on our land, and that's why we did it." And so it kind of puts the sheriff in a catch-22 again. Yeah. But he at least can take Randy out of there, and. When they're in the car together, they ride off in the police car. Joe's like, "What do you think's gonna happen? You can't just, go to these guys' house." And even though he knows they brought him there, but it's just stay away from these guys. They're bad news. They are the ones who probably killed your brother. But we got to get evidence. You can't just go up to them or whatever and try to take them on, kind of thing.
So he says, "Let me take you back to your hotel, Randy." And Randy's like, "Now take me back to home." Yeah, so he's going to his childhood home where Travis, I guess, was still living.
Yeah, that's Travis's home before he died or whatever. Yeah. So, of course, it's a great, nice home or whatever.
A shack of a home.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great, nice home. Now it's broken down and there's cars in the front yard and everything. The weeds are growing over and everything.
Hanging from the tree.
Yes.
They don't see that, but you could just assume.
Yeah. And then we cut to Los Angeles where his girlfriend, Marcia, is already packing to go to Texas because he's not been calling her and she's worried about him. Yeah. And so she's talking to her roommate or a friend. I think it's a friend, yeah. Who knows? LA, you might have a roommate and be in a relationship with someone. So,
that's true.
Rent is expensive. And so, but yeah, she's talking to her friend and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go to Texas." And they go there. And you can just tell that her, she really cares. Marcia really cares for him and wants to make sure he's okay. And even though she might be stepping over some boundaries by going because he told her not to go, it's better than if he, if something happened or if he did need her and just was being distant or whatever and wasn't calling her.
She thinks it's for the best.
Yeah, for sure.
So No, I was just saying, so she gets dropped off at the airport and she ends up in Texas. She gets a shitty rental car. It kind of felt like a plane, trains, and automobiles kind of thing. She's like, "Oh, that's not the car I wanted." He's like, "Well, we don't have that one." He's like, "No, I paid for this kind of car," and it's there's a little back and forth.
Yeah, she's like, "I paid for the upgrade model." He's like, "Well, this is the one you get," and then she's like, "No." And then I guess maybe because she's cute or something, he's like, "All right, but don't tell anybody I did this."
For
and then he gives her a Fiat, which I was like, "That's not the car you want in Texas."
I know it's not. I was gonna say the car she was getting, it looked older, but it was definitely a bigger, more comfortable car than this tiny Fiat.
And she's like, "Yay!" But I'm like,
I guess California, sports car.
Yeah. Hey, John, you know what Fiat stands for, don't you?
I don't remember.
Fix it again, Tony.
Okay, I didn't. I remember Ford, but I didn't remember Fiat.
That's an old joke for you there.
Ford is the fixed or repaired daily.
Yeah. Good stuff.
The Chevy's the only way to go.
Yeah.
Texas.
Like a rock.
Ooh, like a rock.
So anyway, then we see that the sheriff is talking to people around town, kind of asking about, potentially what's going on. He's researching the murder as well, but in a different way than Randy's going about it. And we cut to Randy's house, and he's walking inside. He's got all these memories. We see like boxes of photos, and there's a little something we didn't know about Randy, and that is that he's an alcoholic. And so he sees a bottle of booze next to all these family photos that are in this box, and he begins to go down memory lane, but that just makes him want to drink horribly, in fact. So when he begins to look around, he also finds drugs and stuff in the house, and he's like, what the fuck? It's making him madder and madder that, one, he has to do this for his brother, his fucking brother, god damn it. And then two, his brother died, and he's sad his brother's dead. And then three, he's got to get revenge for his family or whatever, because he's got all these memories. And one memory he specifically has is of him with his brother protecting him when he was a little kid.
Yeah, it kind of made it seem like maybe it was the same people, since this is a small town.
Yeah, it could have been that was either Fred or possibly Teddy was beating Randy up on the playground or whatever, and then his brother
Travis was like, push the other guy. The guy runs, and then he helps him up. He's like, "Come on, Randy, we gotta get you to make your moves."
Yeah, and so you see that they had a little bit of a relationship, at least enough when they were kids.
Yeah, we still don't know 100% what their falling out was.
Yeah, we don't know that for sure. And then he also finds a gun in the house that is suspiciously missing one bullet as well. And we're assuming, we don't know why, but I mean, you could assume that was used possibly in his murder or something. Yeah. So, so he finds a liquor bottle, and he finds a bunch of liquor bottles actually, and he smashes them. And this is where I was like, this is the turning point for me for the comic. Because at first, he sees it and he's like, I used to drink, but not anymore or whatever. And then he smashes on him like, okay, they're saying he's gonna, not drink or whatever. He's choosing not to. And then the next page is him dropping that broken bottle, and he says, but I want to drink, kind of thing. And then we cut to the bar, and he walks into the bar.
Yep.
And this is where I was like, okay, he's gonna walk in, and he's gonna be like, no, and then he's gonna ask questions about his brother again to someone. But that's not what happens. Nope. This is where it takes the turn.
And like you said, I thought it too, because he even gets a drink poured. She's like, "What do you have?" And he's like, he orders, but he pours it, and I'm thinking he's gonna have it in front of him, then he's gonna be like, "No."
Yes, that is not what happens at all.
Nope.
He definitely is ready to drink, and
well, I think this pushes him over the edge too.
Yeah, because what happens is he sits down at the bar, and guess who's at the bar? Who walks into the bar is Fred. Fred, the guy that took him to his brother's ranch. And he got threatened by Teddy and everything. So, and he thinks that this family is the one who killed his brother. So, I love this is a great two double page spread of him grabbing the shot, him bringing the shot up, and as his hand passes up to his face, we see that it kind of, I don't know. This is the way it's like a shot, like a moment by moment panel, vertical panels up to the mouth with the glass or whatever. So it's great. Yeah. And he drinks it, and then it goes black.
Yeah, that was cool. The whole next panel is all black, so obviously he blacks out.
Yeah, and then we cut to his girlfriend who's driving in the middle of nowhere in Texas, and she's like, "Look," she's calling him and leaving a message on his phone, like, "Look, you need to call me. I'm on my way. I know you told me not to. I love you, but I'm here, and I want to help you out. And it's very obvious. Just they're building it up, and then now that you know that he's drunk." You're like, oh, what's going to happen? What's she going to find kind of thing. She's on the way there. They're obviously building tension. And then the fourth issue starts, and this is a great way to start it. We have a vision or a couple panels of just Randy floating in a lake of blood and then sinking into blood. And then the next panel, he wakes up and it says, I hurt. Or it hurts. And then obviously he's having a hangover, and then he looks down and he's covered with blood and he's got a gun in his hand. And it's like, uh-oh. That's not good. And then he looks on the floor, and we see
Fred's on the floor.
Fred is now got shot on the floor. There's a bunch of blood pooled underneath him, and he's like, God damn it. And this was the part that I was like, okay, he's saying it hurts and the hangover hurts, but he doesn't seem to give a fuck that there's a dead man, as far as he knows, on the floor in front of him. He's just like, God damn it, I gotta clean this up. That's kind of his attitude more than anything. So In the meantime, the sheriff, of course, has been researching, the murder and stuff. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go confront Kuttner just to see what he does. I'm going to confront Teddy Kuttner and see, how he reacts to me bringing up the murder as I question him a little bit. But he wants to bring some backup with him. So he gets a new detective, or
she's a deputy. She got transferred in recently, Deputy Flores.
Yeah, so he's like, hey, you've worked stuff like this before, right? Like with drugs and shit. And she's like, yeah. He's like, you want to walk? You want to go with me, and just to have some backup and stuff. So I liked that because he's very like, just be careful. And she's like, well, you want me to draw my gun? And he's like, no, just be aware. These are really, they'll smile at you, but they have a fucking machete behind their back. Like, they will kill you if they think that you're fucking with them or whatever. So. In the meantime, we cut back to Randy, who is cleaning up the blood and then takes the body and pushes it down the basement stairs, to which I was like, there's basements? I guess this is tornado area in Texas, possibly. So maybe there are more basements.
To Oklahoma, there might be some.
Yeah, because I was like,
we ain't got no basements.
Yeah, I was like, there ain't no basements in Austin.
South of like Dallas South, really.
Yeah. So I was like, that's an interesting house. But yeah, so he cleans up after he throws the body down there. And then as he's getting, washing off the blood and everything, he's got his shirt off, and that was the only thing that was bloody, really. And he hears a knock at the door. He's like, the fuck? So he goes to answer it, and it's his girlfriend. She's like, Randy, what's happened? Because his eyes are all red and bloodshot and everything, and he looks terrible. And she's like, have you been drinking? And then we cut back to the sheriff and the deputy, and he, like I said, he's telling her, like, these guys seem nice, but, just be aware. They're very, very dangerous. So, like, just be ready for anything, but don't show them that you're nervous or anything, or that you're ready, kind of thing. So he knocks on the door and begins to talk to Teddy, and Teddy is just kind of like, I didn't kill anybody. I didn't, he's pretty much saying the correct story, kind of thing.
He says that, well, I didn't kill him, and I didn't have him killed, and yeah, it's sad he's dead, and like, but I'm only sad because he is dead, because I wanted to be the one to pull the trigger.
It should have been my bullet. What the fuck? And then we're doing like a cut back and forth. So we get cut back to the girlfriend and Randy, and Randy just kind of goes off on her. She's saying like, I'm here to help you. Why won't you let me in? And he's like, why the fuck did you come here?
Yeah.
And he goes off. Like, she's like, let me help you. And he's like, I told you to get the fuck out of here. Like, he just freaks out on her. And
yeah, it's pretty like she's like, listen, I'm here to help. And he's like, how you could have helped show me you love me if you stayed away and listened to me and done what I told you to do.
Yeah, why didn't you do what I said? And then
submit.
Yeah, he tells her to shut the fuck up. Yeah. And like if you love me, you would have listened to me, and shut your fucking mouth or whatever. It's just like wow. He goes really off, and she, of course, leaves and says, "Fuck you, Randy." And, he's telling her, this isn't a fucking movie. Go back to Los Angeles. Like, this isn't going to end well. It's not a fucking happy ending, And
we should have known there, apparently.
Yeah, that's true. We should have known there that is at this point, I think it's a little too far, but there's still a turning point. There's still another turning point that could have happened. And that's right now, because as she drives away, he's sitting on the porch. He's like, God damn it. He just threw away his relationship. And, but he hears something, and he hears someone yelling, somebody help me. And he's like, oh fuck. So this is the other thing that could have happened, where like the turning point. He goes down there and he sees, okay, obviously
Fred's not dead.
Yeah, or sorry, he goes in the house, goes down to the basement, and he sees Fred's not dead, and he just walks down there and he begins to attack Fred and then just strangles him. So that right there, okay. Yeah, that was the other turning point. He could have just said, all right, I'm going to save this guy's life. He wasn't dead when because he did something when he was drunk. So he could have been like, oh, now I'm not drunk. I have morals and shit, and I'm aware of what's going on. Let me call the police, and I will get in trouble for this, but not murder or whatever. So, but that's not what happened. He murders this guy. And then while he's down in the basement, because apparently Kuttner had like trashed the house looking for this money that the brother owed him, because he stole it and he couldn't spend it. So he hid it somewhere, and they looked the house all over. But so while he's down in the basement, he sees a patch in the plaster. He's like, wait a second, it's perfect size for a big sack of money, So he punches through this plaster cover, and there's a big sack of money there. And that's like now he's in it. He's too far gone. He's got a bunch of money that is owed to a drug dealer, and the drug dealer is aware of him in town, and he's supposed to pay this guy. And then he's got a gun. His brother's dead. He's sure that Kuttner is the guy that killed his brother. So he's sitting there thinking back again, and who shows up but Sarah. Sarah comes in, and this actually used to be her house because she lived with his brother. And so she comes in, and they kind of talk, and
she says she wants to tell him something, but he's kind of not. He's kind of like he's
on a mission now.
He's on a mission. He's very much like, now I got to take care of this, and he's on the sauce now again. So
yeah.
He's like,
well, I don't. He's not drunk now.
Well, it showed them.
Oh, did it show? Okay,
it just showed the bottle there.
You're right. There is a bottle
there. A little bit of like the red waves. So I assume that meant he took another drink.
Okay.
But maybe he didn't black out.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. I thought the red waves were just blood. But yeah, it could also mean obviously alcohol.
It shows them, but it's whatever it is specifically. I like the way it's used in here because I like that every time, it shows something going bad to happen. It's like that. It's like red waves, red pool of blood and alcohol or whatever, and like he's either drowning in it or like floating in it. So
it's like that song, "Seeing Red Again." You ever heard that song? What's the name of that band?
Oh, Chevelle?
Chevelle. There you go.
Yeah, the red. Yes, okay. I have
Seeing Red Again. Wow, that's a band I haven't thought of in a long time.
That is a throwback, yeah.
Man, Chevelle and Hoobastank, huh?
Yeah.
Where'd they go, huh? But anyway, like you said, she keeps being like, Randy, I have to tell you. And then he'll be like, no, don't worry. I'm going to take care of it myself. Like, he'll cut her off as she's trying to tell her something. And then, so she never gets to finish her sentence. And so he goes down the block where he goes to the bar again, or a bar. I don't know if it's the bar. Is it the same bar?
No, I think this one is a different bar.
Okay, so it's a different bar. And I guess this is where he knows that the Kuttners go to party or whatever.
Yeah, we see the truck out front too, I think. So.
Yeah, so he sees the truck. He brings the gun. I like that he scratches the truck on the way inside with the gun, which is a good extra thing to add. He looks inside. He sees Teddy Kuttner sitting there.
I do like that I thought it was weird that he has the sack of money too.
Right, yeah, he brings the money with him, and so he walks in, and you think, okay, what's going to happen? And then I like how they did this. They don't show what happens inside. You just hear the talking, and it's from the outside view we get. So he walks in, and he's like, Kuttner, and Kuttner's like, oh, you got what you owe me? He's like, yeah,
I do have what I owe you.
Yeah, and then he proceeds to shoot 3 times, and we see on the inside as Randy walks out, we cut to the inside, and there's 3 dead people. I guess it's 2 goons and Teddy are all dead, and the money's just sitting there on the pool table that Teddy was playing pool at. And then I like this, some guy just comes out of the bathroom and is like, what the fuck? And then he sees it, and this was a very Coen Brothers move right here, where he's just like, yoink, and he just runs and grabs. Or even Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh yeah.
Like in Boogie Nights when that happens, that almost the same thing happens at the donut shop with what's his name? Don Cheadle.
Oh yeah.
Don Cheadle's character is getting donuts for his wife. It gets robbed. He was just talking about how much money he needed, and then some robber comes in, and there's a big shootout between the owner of the store and him, and the robber, and they kill each other, and then there's just a sack of money sitting there, and he's like, yoink, and he runs and pays off all his bills or whatever. So this guy takes the cash, and they left. I guess he left the owner of the bar, which is nice of him. And this is funny. The bar. I think we said he was the owner of the diner before.
Diner, yeah, I think
but
it was the bar.
He actually is the owner of the bar. This guy that we're looking at, and he says, God damn it, I just cleaned these things. Like he's talking about the floor mats. He's like, I just got them cleaned. And that's how often bad shit happens in this bar, is that, So, and I guess the barkeep calls the sheriff. And so Sheriff Joe shows up, and Randy's just sitting there on the sidewalk waiting for the sheriff to come. So, he arrests him, and he's like, why'd you do this, And he's like, well, he killed my brother. And he's like, that's the thing, though. He didn't.
He didn't.
And then we cut to the sheriff's office, or the police station, where he brings Randy in, and it turns out the person who actually killed his brother is Sarah, because like we said earlier, Sarah has a broken nose. She gets beat up by his brother.
And she was only clinging to Travis, his brother, because she wanted they'll be as close to the memory of having Randy.
Right.
So, but it wasn't a good relationship, obviously.
Yeah. And so he, killed 4 people actually, and, on his rampage. So he's getting booked or whatever and going into questioning for that. In the meantime, Sarah's confessing to her murder. And it turns out it wasn't like the sheriff doesn't know if it was self-defense or an accident, but because he's an abusive husband, she probably was being abused, shot him. And that was why the gun was missing 1 bullet too. And then what happened was she had called Kuttner, or maybe Kuttner stopped by. I'm not exactly sure how Kuttner found out, but he cleaned it up for her. I don't know if they knew each other or had a relationship before that, but I think it was more like, you owe me the money now. So, someone's going to give me that money. You better find it or whatever. And that's probably what he told her. Or that's how I feel, at least.
Yeah.
They don't really wrap up that whole story because now Teddy's dead and everything. It doesn't matter. And so yeah, he was completely wrong. Randy was completely wrong. Threw his life away and everything. And then we even get a cut back to his girlfriend, who's now back in L.A. And she just
has a box that says Randy on it and is throwing everything away.
Everything. And then they read I guess it's like a screenplay he was writing or something, or maybe a script for a book. And it's like all talking about like his brother and in Texas and everything. And he's like, wow, this guy was fucked up, huh? I was like, yep. And then that's it. Like, just throw this shit away. And that's the end of their relationship completely. And then we got a nice kind of like end cap of murder in this book, which I liked. So the guy that was in the men's restroom when the shootout happened, when Teddy died.
And he grabs the money.
He grabbed the money. He knows who Teddy is. So he's like, okay, there's an opportunity here. I have the money that Teddy was owed, and Teddy probably owes that to his boss. So this guy goes to Teddy's boss and is like, hey, just shows up randomly. And I love that he's an above ground pool king, is where this guy owns like an above ground pool business, which is like,
it's so Texas.
Yeah, it's so Texas. And then he goes to this guy's place, and the guy looks like Elvis. You said he kind of reminded you of who?
It kind of looked like a cross between like he's kind of wearing like a white Boss Hog suit, but he also reminded me of like
Buck Strickland.
Buck Strickland, from King of the Hill.
Yeah,
because
like
like the way he's talking to him, he's like, "Well, hey there, like I'm the pool king of West Texas."
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And he seems like a nice guy. And he's like, so let me get this straight: Kuttner's dead, and you took the money, but you're bringing it back to me.
And you bring it to me?
Yeah, and he's like, why'd you do that? He's like, well, I was thinking maybe I could be your new distributor since Teddy's gone. I could take his spot. And, the guy kind of leans back and he's like, let me think about that for a second. And then he starts thinking, he's like, well,
I really appreciate you bringing this money and all.
I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But I don't know who the fuck you are. And you just come to my place without an invitation or anything. You walk in here with a sack of money and you tell me my guys are dead. How do I know you didn't do it or whatever? But basically, fuck you. And he just shoots the guy in the head and then calls his I like this. He calls his assistant and is like, we're going to need the steam cleaner. Because
there is a hell of a mess.
Yeah, there's a hell of a mess on this rug. So yeah, like basically it was just, he's not going to give this guy a place just because he brought him the money or whatever. But I liked that a lot. And then we do, I guess, end on a kind of happy note-ish.
I mean,
for the sheriff. It's for Joe the sheriff.
That's true. The sheriff.
It ends with him finding a cat outside after all this fucked up shit has happened, and multiple people have lost their lives, and people threw away their lives because of misunderstandings or whatever, and tempers and all that.
And we've kind of seen this cat, I guess, like running around town. He's obviously a stray. He's been in several panels.
Okay, yeah. So as Joe's going home, he sees this cat like meowing at him. He's like, "Oh, you want to become part of my family or whatever?" And then the cat jumps in. He's like, well, I guess Martha's going to have to learn to like cats or whatever. And then, and so, yeah, he drives off. And in the back of another police car, we see Randy getting loaded, and he's riding next to Sarah. And he's like, I guess the cop that's putting him in there is like, yep, I can't believe you killed 5 people. We got you on 5 murders, sir, or whatever. And he's like, 5? He's
like, yeah, that one body we found out in the desert. It would happen to be the body of the guy who the king shot.
Yeah, the pool king. Pool guy. So somehow they left that guy in the desert, and the police found it and just figured it was him as well because
all these bodies are showing up.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, 5 people, and it's just like, and we're left with Randy thinking, well, I wanted to leave, but now this is my home, and I'm never ever going to leave again.
Yep, and they're both getting hauled off to county.
Yep. So that is how it ends. And the last word of this is Texas. so yeah, that's the end of this book. John, what would you give it? What did you think of it?
I liked it. The art was good. It was cool, especially like you said, some of those splash pages, or usually pretty much anytime there was gunshots, it didn't explicitly show the gunshots, but I like the way
you saw the aftermath. Usually,
the aftermath is it's still very gory and bloody, but the way that it did the action of the shooting to where it was the onomatopoeia and then just like the bright colors on the page, I like that. That's fun.
Yeah.
I like it's a nice use of the medium for that. So I really enjoyed that, and then the story was fun. Like you said, I didn't know 100% where it was going, and like you said, so the fact that for the most part most of the characters didn't get like a happy ending, it just kind of
I would say even Joe didn't, because he's just got more trauma.
Exactly, all of that shit is going to stay with him because he saw a bunch more dead bodies,
but at least he's got a kitten.
Yeah, he's got a kitty now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fun. Not fun, but it's nice.
It was a fun romp through Depression Field.
It's nice to have you watch things, you read these things to have like an escapism from the real world sometimes. And while obviously there's some really bad shit that happens in the real world, it is nice to see a story that you get involved in and then not know where it's going. And even if it ends in a shitty way too, it's still that sense of oh man, surprise and
right. For me, it was the switcheroo, the choice of the character. You didn't know how fucked up he was until he drank and shot that guy, and then when he kills that guy,
that was cool.
The drinking was the first, he's taking a left turn. I didn't think he was going to go there, but surely he'll just get in a fight or whatever. And then when he wakes up and the guy's shot, and you think he's dead at first, but then when the guy's alive, I was like, okay, now they're going to redeem him. We thought it was going to be bad. No, he murders him, and then he goes and kills 4 other people. So it's or 3 other people, and then
playing for another one.
Yeah, and playing for another one. So. Yeah, that I could see what you're saying. It's not it's escapism, but it's crime escape. It's it's not a feel good escapism for sure.
No, and I guess you got to know that you're getting into that a crime story. Obviously, when
the book is called Texas Blood.
Yeah,
so
but yeah, I enjoy these stories too, and I enjoy a good Return of the Jedi happy ending, but I also enjoy.
They ain't no Ewoks in this, John.
Yeah. So yeah, but overall, I enjoyed it. It was a good story. I kind of am curious, where it would go from here. So, I think I might actually read the next one. We'll see. But
I'm gonna. I liked it, and actually, I think that this was good enough and interesting enough that I want to actually start buying the issues.
Oh, nice.
And the new one apparently has a serial killer in Texas, the new arc that's going to start next week. So. In issue form, so I'm going to check that out.
Is it continuing with these characters, or is it?
I don't think so. I don't think we follow this guy anymore.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So it'll be little anthology.
Yeah, because what is it? Him in prison?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out, but it makes sense that this is just called That Texas Blood, and each story arc follows another tale of blood.
We know Texas, big state. There've been a lot of murders in Texas, so
sure. There's been a lot of murders everywhere, John.
Yeah,
but, Texas. There's a lot of places to hide bodies.
Hide bodies everywhere. Yeah, I saw this little thing the other day, and it was just a quick side note, just because I thought it was so funny. It was talking about hey, do you think you swim in pools all the time, or you swim in lakes or oceans, but then if you found out there was a murder in a pool, you probably wouldn't go back to that hotel or that place, because you might be a little I don't know about that, but then it's well, how many people died in lakes and or the ocean? You think of it's that level. It's a ratio of water to bodies, and how comfortable you are knowing how many bodies
okay. So here's if it's the pool at the hotel, and it was yesterday. Well, yeah, I'm not swimming in that pool.
But it's been clean and drink. Yeah, but if there was a murder there a year ago, I might even be I don't know about that. The pool's definitely clean by then.
Yeah,
but.
water. It's water. You know, wash
I
it
don't
off.
know, but I don't know. I could see like how people's minds would be that, but then yeah, like everybody goes to the beach and it's like there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of bodies.
There's constant murder going on in the ocean.
People dropping bodies in the ocean all the time.
All the time. I saw Dexter.
The plane crashes, the ships that have gone down, you know, like
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So
Just in general.
it's just funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, so overall, I enjoyed this. I would give it a 7.5, I think.
7.5? I would give this... Okay, so for myself, I like crime. I enjoy like a fucked up story. This really reminded me like a lot. Not like in a bad way, not like it stole it or anything, but like just had the same vibe and like thing going for it as There Will... Or not There Will Be Blood. No Country for Old Men.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking of. So this really has that same feel where there's even a sheriff and he's the main kind of narrator and we're following his story, but it actually involves another guy who gets involved with drugs and all that shit. So there's shit like that going on in this. It's like I said, it's similar and it has the same vibe, but it's not like it stole the story or anything. And I liked that. And it definitely has the same ending where it leaves you like on a depressed,
That's true.
fucked up note. So like, just be aware. Like if you like that book and you're okay with that movie or whatever, then this is fine. And I enjoy that kind of stuff. I'm fine with that. So I liked this a lot. I can't wait to see what the next trade is about. If, like I said, I'm pretty sure it just starts a new story about blood in Texas. So that's going to be an interesting one. I'm definitely going to check that out. But I'm going to give this one, as like me, I'm going to give this one a 7.5 as well, I think.
Okay.
Like, because it, like, there wasn't anything like mind blowing or anything. It was just solid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Solid goodness. It was a lot like Reckless in that way, where there wasn't like, oh, this is the most amazing storytelling I've ever seen. It's like, no, but it was solid. The story was good. The plot was good. And I was interested the whole way through. And it was a quick read. It was very much in the line of Reckless, if you read that by Ed Brubaker, which we did our podcast on that a couple months ago, I guess, or something. So
yeah, it was good to check that one out.
yeah, that's also like a crime mystery thing. And so this had the same feel as that. So if you liked Reckless, this would also be a good one. I had never heard of this creator team as well. So this is kind of cool that it's a new creative team that I get to find out what else they've written and done. But if you do not like, or you want a happy ending, if you're a happy ending person, this might not be a book for you. This might be a little lower on your point score. So
yeah. No, my wife wouldn't definitely not see. I remember
I'll say this really quick. I don't interrupt
good.
real quick, but when I read this afterward, I felt depressed for like 20 minutes, and I was like, that was cool though. So just be aware that is a thing you might feel if you are expecting a happy ending or you don't know that going into the book. Like if you're prepared for it, like I feel like now that I know the series, I could read book 2 and book 3 and be fine. No problem.
Yeah.
But this one, I did not know that he was going to turn when he got drunk and kill someone and then actually kill that guy and then murder 3 other people. And then it just ends with him being arrested. Like it's not your average story here. So there's no hero, you know? So, which is different than Reckless, because in Reckless, you have at least the hero you're following. You know when you're reading that, because his name is fucking Ethan Reckless. The book series is about him, and there's 4 of them. So he's not dead in this one. So, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to die. So it's just going to continue, and we know that at least. But this is like, there's no, everything's up for grabs, you know, and most of it's going to be depressing grabs. So, yeah, just be aware of that. And what were you going to say about your wife?
Oh no, I remember like, yeah, she doesn't do well with the
depressive stories,
with the settings. Yeah, I think about that like, cause I was like, oh, this is a great movie, and she's like, oh yeah, we should watch that. And then we watched like There Will Be Blood or
such
American Psycho, and she's like, this is a great movie until the end, and then it's
there is no
a depressing sad.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. She's the escapist who likes to escape all of real life
completely,
where the shitty stuff does not continue over.
Yeah. I get that too. Like, you know, I wouldn't want to read this all the time. Like, my wife likes a lot of true crime, and she can fucking listen to that all day long. I can't. I will listen to it in bursts. Like, oh, that's a cool story. But if I listen to that all the time, and the same with like news or even like people who are negative in general on podcasts or whatever, I just can't do it. politics or whatever, I'll listen to it for a little bit and then I'll be like, I'm starting to get negative, like, or just having like a what's it called, like just bad thoughts or whatever. Just like I don't want to be depressed all the time or whatever. So yeah, I get that, and I wouldn't pick this up all the time or whatever. But if you want to read crime, it's definitely a good crime book. There's other crime books that are better, like if you want to feel good, like is it Reckless or Parker or one of those. The Parker series is just like, ooh, how are they going to pull this robbery off? It's kind of like Ocean's 11 or something. So yeah, so we both give it a 7.5. John, what are we reading next week?
Next week, we're going to dive into, we know that Disney is coming with another one of their shows. And so we thought we'd check out the character. We're doing Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel,
the 2015 version, Kamala Khan.
Kamala Khan.
And I have not read this at all, John.
Neither have I.
Okay.
I don't even, like, I know that she has big hands. She gets, like, big stretchy hands in that. And, like, she'll have some kind of big hands in the show, but I think her powers are set as a little.
I don't even know if she gets big hands. I know they changed her powers for the show. So
in the preview, they showed she had big hands, but they were, like, cosmic-y big hands, so. Like,
okay, but it's not like her physical.
No,
hand
not like
grows.
physical. Yeah, because I see the pictures of her.
Yeah, in the comic, literally, it looks like those happy slapper, hands, those sticky hands that you use as a kid,
or like you have your normal arms and then you put the Hulk fists on those big
right. But if they were like, oh no, like if you had one of those like #1 foam fingers or whatever, it's like that. Yeah, like at a baseball game or whatever, you get those, you just slap each other with them. So, yeah, so I don't know anything about this. This came out in like when I wasn't reading comics for a while because of money and shit, and I was I had moved back here, but I was like focusing on work and not trying to get comics. So, yeah, this was like my dark period where I wasn't reading anything except Conan. I like kept Conan going for like the whole time, pretty much, but. Because that's how much of a fan I am. But yeah, I miss Kamala Khan. I have read the old Miss Marvel, like the Carol Danvers Miss Marvel, because before they started calling her Captain Marvel recently, and like I guess when this Miss Marvel came out, then Carol Danvers became officially Captain Marvel in the 2015s. I think she had been called that before in the 80s and 90s too, but at least in the 2000s she was called Miss Marvel. So
yeah, because I remember seeing that too, because she has like the. At that time, she had like the black costume?
It's like a black kind of one-piece swimsuit looking costume and like a yellow sash. Yeah.
And like one big lightning bolt or whatever.
Yes, yeah. And so yeah, that's the only one I've read. So I don't know anything about Kamala Khan. So this will be fun. I believe it is the first trade. So it's the first arc of that run, the original run of her, because she's only like 7 years old as a character. Yeah. So it's like brand new character in 2014 or 15.
So we'll see. Yeah. So this will be origin. So we'll see how well they're able to. Origin stories are hit or miss. So
yeah, and I'm kind of interested to see how it goes as well. Like, I'm not a big Marvel fan. This is a new character, so and we're not necessarily the demographic as far as age and stuff. Like this is obviously possibly to try to get new people to read it, because I know Marvel is going through like an all new, all different phase.
It's a young teen is probably.
Yeah, young teen is what they're shooting for. Kind of try to bring some youth back, new characters that new readers could discover and have the same reaction that like a kid in the 60s reading Spider-Man, they're like, it's me, it's one of us or whatever, like a young kid. And so I could see that, that's what they're going for. So we'll see how we react to it. I could see it going both ways, but I'm never going to trash something that someone likes just because I didn't like it or whatever, so but we'll see what happens next week with that. And I am going to trash the TV show because I don't. Just kidding. I don't really care about the Marvel shows, but John here.
No, I do, and yeah,
he will watch it.
I will say that trailer, the first trailer that had come out before I was doing the reviews, and I am looking forward to the show. It looks cute. It looks fun.
John is our correspondent on the ground for the Marvel or the Marvel shows.
I'm all in for MCU stuff. I'm like the Easter egg guy. I love how it all connects. Just like I love that it's its own universe that picks things from the comics too. So it's fun to see the comic tie-ins. It's fun to see the tie-ins for of the things they're creating too. So I've liked them all too, and I like there's ones I like more than others, but I've even liked all of the ones that came out through the pandemic that people are iffy on.
There you go.
I like Shang-Chi. I like Eternals.
There you go. And I just don't care. So I don't care about them in general. I will have fun at the movies, but
yeah, I was like, you'll see them, and
I'll see them and go like, yeah, it's pretty good. But like the shows. I can't give 13 hours to something for the most part. That's like a Marvel thing.
I could see that, yeah.
Just personally. You know me. I'm a DC guy anyway. So if there's a Blue Beetle show, I'm into that. No one else gives a fuck about it. Although I did see the Blue Beetle pictures from this week, and I was very excited about what's his face from Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
being Blue Beetle.
He's Blue Beetle, and then I show you who they picked for the old Blue Beetle, right?
Oh yes, yeah, and he should work really well for that.
That's for When I was like, because I know the character a bit now, I was like Ted Cord. I was like, okay,
yeah,
I see that.
There we go. So
we'll see.
Yeah, I could see him being that, but yeah, that's more my speed. So if there's a show, well, even the CW shows that are all DC, I don't really care about.
Yeah,
either,
see, and that's true. And maybe because I've been more of a Marvel guy, but I haven't liked most. And I've tried to sit and watch some, but I haven't liked much of the
even like HBO ones or whatever. Like I tried to watch Doom Patrol. Yeah. Okay. I tried to watch Titans. No, was it Titans? I don't know. I just dipped my toe into it. I really got into Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing I was down with because that's my jam. So even if unless they really really messed it up, but they did not. This was a good show,
and it had like a horror vibe too. So that was
yes,
cool.
It totally felt down to its roots, so to speak.
No pun intended.
It definitely made me happy as a Swamp Thing mega fan. And then also I liked the Constantine show, although it because it was on normal TV, it's kind of like it had to pull punches and whatever. And although I liked the guy who played Constantine, the Matt something, I don't know, his name is Matthew something, but that guy was a good Constantine, better at least than Keanu Reeves was in the movie. So, but yeah, shots fired at Shia LaBeouf. But yeah, so anyway, back to comics and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna be reading Miss Marvel next week and doing that poll as well. So if you want to be included in that poll, you want to pick what character we're gonna read next. That's what we're gonna do this next with the poll. For this next month, because we only have a limited amount of subscribers at the moment, we will be doing like a character poll to see what character you want us to read, and then we'll throw a book from that character into the month as far as the podcast. So be on the lookout for that. And like we said, if you want to join that Patreon, it is patreon.com/Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word. And if you want to email us or you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email at Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word, @gmail.com.
Yep. Don't forget about our Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube channel for exclusive content as well. And
like we said, John is making reaction videos to trailers, and I am always doing my comic reviews, usually of number ones that come out that week, but sometimes a little extra stuff.
Yeah, he had some cool. He had Ice Cream Man number 30,
which was fantastic.
That's definitely an interesting one. You should check out.
I started buying that one too. I put that on my pull list, and now I got to go back and find 30 issues. So yeah, that's the fun stuff we're doing on YouTube. So check that out. And with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.